Welcome to the Finance Geeks, a podcast about real financial planning. If you're into numbers, strategies, and building a great planning business, this is your ultimate geeky hangout.
Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of the Finance Geeks podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Warren Shute and I'm joined by...
Paul Cleworth.
Paul Cleworth today. Today we're talking about... Today we're talking about the budget aftermath. What's happened? Rachel, what have you done? So, Paul, how do you feel about the budget?
Are we going straight into it? Are we not doing what have you been up to?
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's just on my mind. It's this budget. Anyway, what have you been up to, Paul?
Okay. Well, I'll keep it brief. I went to a Transact Connect event last week. I thought that was actually quite good. Went on a date night to St. Albans to watch the Christmas orchestra at the cathedral with my wife.
What was the name? Oh, with your wife. Sorry.
With your wife. And we went to Wagamama's and that was great. So tickets, food.
Whoa. Hang on a second. I got to jump in there. You went on a date night with your wife, and I've met your wife, and you took her to Wagamama's. When you go out with the Trap Boys in a few days' time, are you going to be going to Wagamama's?
No, not going to Wagamama's. We're going to another Italian place.
Some real swanky restaurant, no doubt, probably.
She likes Wagamama's.
Okay, all right. That's what she's telling
I was going to say about the cost of living. Tickets, parking, food, babysitting. It was over 300 quid. Makes me want to never go out again. Went to a Christmas market in Kimpton. My son goes to Kimpton Primary School, and he raised over £150 for his school, selling. He had a snowman game, and he also sold cookies, which my wife had made for him. And he put his name down for the Name the Lion. You know, this massive cuddly toy as big as he is.
Awesome.
And he obviously chose his own name, Rory, and he won it. You know, Rory the Lion. Yeah, so
has he got the lion?
Yeah. So it's we don't need it. Oh my lord, it's massive. It's just one of these ones that sits in the corner of a toy shop. Enormous.
Of course, there's so many things in life we don't need, but a massive lion is pretty cool.
You should have seen his face when he won. He was like, I videoed it because the teacher told me beforehand. It was very nice. Warren, what have you been up to?
Well, first of all, I want a photograph of the lion. Okay,
yeah, sure.
So we need a photograph of the lion. We have a bear. So my kids, when they were young, we bought them a big giant bear. And now it is Monty, my dog's, I can kind of swear a little bit, shagging partner. So the kids have obviously moved on. They're 18 and 20, but the bear, oh my God, it's awesome. That's a really cool lion. Oh, bless him. It's so cool when they win stuff. Me, do you know what? I'm not going to mention the house, but obviously rings around that. And then the budget. It's just the budget's kind of consumed me a little bit, watching it, going to briefings, reading about it, digesting it, and preparing for today to talk about it. So
reading all 154 pages of it.
Thank goodness for ChatGPT. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I had a consultation with a consultant on my eye. I've got high eye pressure. I've got great blood pressure, but high eye pressure. He's all good. I might have those lens replacements. That's one of the things I'm looking to have done now.
Okay. Very good.
More interesting stuff.
The focal point, the budget. So it was what day are we today? The 2nd of December. It was on the 26th, and it was Rachel Reeves' second budget after she said we're not going to do another big tax raise, and that's exactly what she did. How do you feel about the run-up to the budget?
I'm going to say it's a shit show. The whole thing, even the actual day, everything. Come on, look, what's the point in having a budget if you're going to leak everything beforehand? Just tell us the information. Don't stand up there and do the shouting. They're so annoying when they just heckle each other all the time.
It's not very professional at all, is it? I mean, the length of time it took to run up to the budget was well over a month. And as you said, all of these things were leaked to see how they would fare. And at one point, of course, they were going to go against the manifesto and change income tax rates, and then they chickened out.
They did go against it. They did increase income tax. The tax on rental income is still an income tax. The tax on dividend income is still rental income tax.
Yeah, this is like we're not going to change national insurance, which of course they then do in the previous budget on employers. 13.8 up to 15%. So what's your cynical view on the budget before we get to specifics? I mean, the run up to it, and then what happened with the OBR leaking the EFO report 52 minutes before she spoke. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did, and I think it was intentional. I think she's probably annoyed them so
Why
much.
would it be?
Because I think she's probably annoyed the OBR so much. Apparently, there's no love loss in that relationship between the OBR and Rachel Thieves, as I refer to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was done intentionally just to one up her.
Well, I thought that it had been guessed, the URL had been guessed from previous years, and the markets had a lot of information prior to her speaking, and were acting on it. And the thing I was most surprised about is this notion of 1 minute the OBR is saying that we've got a 4.2 billion surplus, and then the next minute Rachel Reeves is claiming we've got a 30 billion pound black hole, and the trust has been lost, hasn't it? It's just you've got to be truthful about why you're raising the taxes. So, how do you think it was received generally, the budget?
Uh, well, I think my wife refers to me as living in a bubble. So I live in this little bubble, Warren's world. And everyone that I've spoken to hasn't been so encouraged by it. I think we all agree that the UK economy is sluggish.
Yeah,
Some might use the word "it's on its ass," and to give it a bit of stimulation to boost it. I think the first thing she should have done is incentivize the property market, because when you have a property transaction or buoyant property market, so many people are involved, from conveyancers to mortgage brokers to legals and removals and DIY and everything. So you get the property market going, you kind of get the economy going. There was nothing.
I would say, for a sort of cynical view on it, that the budget was a sort of damp squib, and it was there to try and try and meet the fiscal rules, try to raise tax, do what Labour do, which is to try from get those with the broadest shoulders, as she said, to pay a bigger fair share of tax. But what you found that for me it was all about saving the Chancellor's job, saving the MP, the PM's job, Starmer's job,
I
and
agree.
trying to appease backbenchers,
Yes.
by giving more allowances, if you like, to the working class and those on lower incomes. One of the things she needed to do in this budget, which I'm amazed it didn't go any worse than this, but she needed to appease the bond market. I mean, the UK compared to Europe and the Western economies has got that's one of the highest rates of debt payments, because the 10-year gilt yield is well over 4%. And I was surprised that it wasn't received worse than it was. You've got something like 800 billion of gilts owned by foreign investors. They demand, if they don't feel confidence, a higher gilt yield on those gilts. And the interest payments, we've said this before, they're about 10% of the HMRC tax take. It's huge. So had she done more to shore up the bond market, we would have had falling gilt yields, falling interest rates, and an economy that would have hopefully started to grow. There was no mention of the word growth, or hardly any mention of it, in the budget. And yet
Yeah.
that's what they said in the manifesto. We're all about growth. And there was just nothing about growth. This was all snidey little stealth taxes and annoying ones, which not all of them even come in. Have you seen that? That all of these assumed tax raises, that some that come in from April 2026, some from 27, 28, 29, and then it's all the way up until 31 when the thresholds are unfrozen. They're
Oh,
frozen for another nearly 6 years.
yes. Yeah.
So yes, not very inspiring is my overview.
I guess the thresholds just really mean that we've got to do our job even a bit more to make sure we encourage clients to do a bit more planning, jiggling income around, and maximizing what they can do in
Yeah,
relation to their things. Um, Taxation on property savings and dividends. It's if you're taking dividend income up, or your clients take dividend income to 200,000, so they can still get your pension allowance. That's over £200,000 more tax for that individual. So a couple, £4,477. So
right.
nearly £5,000 extra tax for a couple. Just by
Yeah,
that.
you're going straight onto the income tax on dividends rising
Yeah,
on basic and higher rate. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And the thing is, you think who was it meant for, all of this? Was it try to sort of say we'll just tax a bit of everybody, because freezing the thresholds brings more people into the high rate band, and as we know, it's called fiscal drag. With the majority that Labour have in Parliament, and Dan Needle said this sort of expert tax lawyer, that it's just not really solving the issue. They didn't have the confidence to increase income tax and do what's necessary to get the tax monies in now. The more you disincentivize businesses and the more you disincentivize saving for retirement and saving generally, the worse that the growth factor is going to be. And
Yeah.
people on lower incomes and those that are on benefits, they need to be incentivized to work. So I would have paid more income tax and more tax if I knew that it was going to get people into work, and that perhaps they would get low cost or free childcare or something. Something to incentivize people to want to go to work. There's no incentive for people to get extra bonuses or pay rises in some regards, especially when it pushes over the 100,000 figure and you start losing your personal allowance. That one's one of the worst. Imagine
Yes.
these saying someone's on 100K. Oh, okay, it's pretty good income, but you're going to get a £10,000 bonus. You only actually get 40% of that.
And I think, it's crazy increasing tax on savings income because it's going to disincentivize people to plan for their retirement. I know we say that pensions for their retirement, but that's only if you're an employed individual and you're seeking advice. Some people
Yeah.
just pay down their mortgage and shove money in the bank. And you want to be encourage people to put money away wherever they put it away, whether it's in savings, in ISAs or pensions. And taxing them more because it's in savings, I think is a bit crazy. My view is the income tax on property portfolios is just going to be shifted onto tenants. We have a real,
It's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah.
yeah, real strong market for landlords, and there's a demand for property, and I think it's just going to be pushed onto the tenants. So it's just going to make no sense.
You wonder where it's going because the Labour Party are massively missing their quota for building new homes by about 400,000. This increase to CGT on an increase to the extra stamp duty on purchasing properties, now the extra income tax on rental income. I mean, it's obviously going to encourage lots of people to sell their properties, I suspect. They've got buy to lets or second properties. It depends how it's being held, to be honest, because some properties are held through businesses, some are from overseas landlords. It's not going to assist in any way for the property market. If anything, with this extra council tax or this extra annual charge on properties over 2 million, it's going to incentivize people to not move. And the tax
Yeah.
take's going to be less in the same way that CGT going up last tax year in October, in last budget, sorry, has reduced in a lower tax take. It's the classic Laffer curve, which I'm sure you're aware of, where you increase taxes so high, the tax take is actually less.
What's it called? I wasn't aware of it. I was aware of the outcome, but what's it called?
The Laffer curve,
Laugh at, not laughing, as in laughing.
Laffer.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
So it's it's an economic idea, and I think it was a
Yeah.
Professor Laffer that introduced it. But you get to a certain point of raising taxes where the evidence shows that you receive less in actual overall taxation. I mean, do you feel with this state of public services that you want to pay more tax? Because we already know that there's very wealthy people moving abroad. We know that people that are investors are already going to, I suppose, utilize other vehicles like offshore bonds. There's already been, I mean, Transact have said this recently. There's been a huge uptick in people saying, right, I'll get my money offshore. I don't want to pay all this extra tax. And the people will look for loopholes. So one of the problems with this budget, it's kind of assumes that people will retain the same behaviors
Hmm.
in terms of their saving or spending habits, and they just won't. People will change those behaviors, and it'll result in a change in the tax take itself, especially on the basis that I think that majority of the tax take is towards the end of the parliament. So yeah, it's very frustrating. I wasn't inspired at all, and you just want some politician with some balls to actually do what's necessary to fix the problem.
I think a couple of key things, though, which aren't really talking about, is the lower earnings limit, the level in which we qualify state pension went up. So that's increased from 5.5 to 6,708. So a lot of business owners will pay themselves a modest salary, minimum salary, to qualify state pension,
Yeah.
and the balance in dividends. Although I don't know if you've done it yet, we haven't done it yet, but that's something we'll look at to say, actually, is it more efficient for us now to switch back to salary?
Yeah, I asked my accountant about this recently, and he doesn't think it is still
Okay.
this idea of an increased salary with lower dividends. I still think it's re, better to pay yourself a relatively modest salary, usually up to the personal allowance, the 12,570, because of the difference in NI when class one and class two come in, or rather the primary and employer and employee. levels of NI. Um, with regards to motoring, what did you make of that? Because you've got a hybrid car. Are you going to look forward to sort of paying
I have
extra
I have
road
both
tax?
an electric car and a hybrid car. Okay, so I'm getting like stuff both ways. It's just don't. So by all accounts, it's self-declaration at the
Yes.
beginning of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
year,
yeah.
and then they do a check with your
With your MOT.
MOT, and then you make
Yeah.
everybody sure. But if you overestimate at the beginning of the year, it just gets carried forward to the following year. It doesn't get a refund on it. So who on earth's going to like overestimate? It
Oh, I
just
do 20,000 miles. No, we do about 10. We just say we do 4, and you pay
yeah,
less and less and less,
yeah.
and then
Oh,
you pay it
sorry.
on account.
And then obviously if I'm taking my car abroad, I still pay over there. It's just
Uh,
why don't they
it,
just like do away with the road tax thing and just be taxed like any other car? I don't get it. They got the
you know why they're doing it? Because they know
no.
that fuel duty that's received by the government is really high, and road tax, and both of those they get a lot of tens of billions from it, and they know that over the next X amount of years, as we go towards net zero, that those taxes are going to reduce in terms of the tax take. So they have to do something. Um, and instead of just now penalising those that want to go green buying EV cars, you could do it across the board and say for everybody needs to pay 1p a mile or 1.5p a mile on everything that you do. You go to the continent and you pay, and you go to France, they have loads of tolls to pay for roads. You know, it costs £70 in tolls to go from the north of France to the south of France. I know because I've driven it lots of times. And so there's lots of other ways in which you can actually generate revenue like this. That's I think fairer. So yeah, so we're going to be paying £300 to £400 more for EVs for road tax, road duty. What do you make of ISAs? Because this was the most comical for me, reducing the ISA allowance for under 65, so cash ISAs down to 12,000.
What's the point? What are they thinking? Oh, okay. I can only put in 12,000 now. I'm now going to go and see a financial advisor or go and get advice and invest the difference. People are going to say, "Oh, okay, I'll do that. I'll put the rest in my bank."
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think the suggestion from Rachel Reeves, or the aim, was to get people to invest their monies rather than leave it in cash, and then to also have them invest it in the UK stock market. But the majority of people that will invest, in my opinion, in ISAs and invest in stocks and shares ISAs will invest globally. And so you can't. Do you remember the UK ISA that the Tory party brought in, and then it just
Just
fizzled
died.
away?
Yeah.
It just died a death. This is going to be the same for this ISA, because you can't transfer from a stocks and shares ISA to a cash ISA anymore. And you're not going to be able to put 20 grand in a stocks and shares ISA and then move it to a cash. You can't do it that way around. So, if you're over 65, you don't lose this allowance. That's not so bad. But the way that it's going to be policed, ISAs are supposed to be simple. And it's a little incentive, isn't it, to allocate, ring fence some of your money, pay no income tax, no CGT. So that was just a disaster, and does
Complete
not
disaster.
incentivize people to save. So, similarly with pensions, lots of things that we thought previously were going to come in, like a change to the tax relief going into pensions or tax-free cash coming out. None of that was looked at all. But you've got this reduction in salary exchange down to just 2,000, albeit it doesn't actually come in until April 2029. I mean, how stupid is that? Because everyone's just going to max fund their pension for the next 3.5 years via salary exchange.
I know.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Why? It's like you've got people not retiring on enough money, and you want wealthy retirees so they keep the economy going too. Just allow people to fund for their retirement.
You would think that we know that the tax code in the UK is one of the longest in all of Europe. It's 23,000 pages according to the Financial Times, or over 21,000.
Wow.
Um, it's just gone through the roof, and it's complicated. Things like, the NI, VAT, pension rules, they're all complicated. And the simplest forms, categorically, the simplest form is income tax. You earn money, you pay tax, and you take it at source. And most people are employed, and they just have it debited by their employer based on the new rate. That's easy, relatively easy to understand and to take. National insurance deducted at source as well, and the same with corp tax. You could those three plus VAT, those four generate well over half of all tax revenues. It's about 60% of tax revenues. So if you're going to fiddle around with all the little taxes on property, on CGT, on ISAs, on fuel duty, it just makes it more complicated. And I think what it does, it makes people look for ways to circumvent the rules, um, and it won't stimulate growth. Nobody has ever taxed their way to success or taxed their way to growth. No economy's
So
ever
true.
done it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why is
So
she
I think
trying to do it now? She should be
yeah.
fired. I think I'm going to put my line in the sand. I'd rather put my hat in the ring and become chancellor. And you just get
Oh,
all the best people, like Dan Needleman, all the cleverest people in, and you say, "Look, let's go through the figures. Let's go through the how it's actually going to work." And you do what's good for the country, not what's just good for the party.
but to get those votes through, you need the party backing you. Does that make sense? That's why it's a broken system. So she can't just put through what she wants. She needs the support of the whole party. And getting everyone on side, they're only going to be shouting for the things that their constituents want. So, and really, we don't really have someone looking out for the country.
It says to me then that the system's broken. And you referred to it before about those politicians in Parliament just laughing and joking with the
Oh,
Prime Minister, with the Chancellor as she's speaking, and just heckling her. And you're thinking, can you not take it seriously and offer some, sensible comeback and sensible suggestions on how we can actually fix the issues at hand? We've got a broken education system, arguably, or certainly a
yeah,
broken NHS.
yeah,
We've got roads that have got potholes in them, and certain councils are way better off than others. I mean, Luton, Bedfordshire County Council, or Luton Airport, they're probably rolling in it, and yet around where I live, there's potholes everywhere. There's not even a 4G system or 5G system in the UK that works properly. When you go into London on the train, and then you just don't even bother trying to use your phone because it won't work.
So to rather than allow our listeners to like say, "Oh my God, life's over," it's like really, I got to say, is it's a fantastic profession to be in because I think more people are going to need some kind of guidance through this mess, and you guys and girls listening really need to be on your game to understand. Okay, how can I help my clients through this and do different things?
It doesn't change the principles of what we do as financial planners. You've got to know the detail, the nitty gritty with regards to these things. But the majority of things I think that would normally impact the financial planner, talking about regular premiums into ISAs and GIAs, regular premiums into pensions, some of the ways that you invest monies, a lot of that hasn't changed. You've got to get people paying more tax because of fiscal drag and the allowances, the personal allowance, the threshold's not moving. And so what can people do? I mean, it's easy to say go and earn more money, but you can, I suppose, top up your pension more and max out your ISA allowances
Yeah,
and be smarter with your spending. Interesting. I just to sort of show it both sides. We talk about moving abroad, and people
yeah,
talk about moving abroad, especially to places like Dubai. I saw quite a good podcast from a tax expert recently, and she sort of said if you earn 100K in the UK, you'll get about 65 net, but you do get free schooling, get access to the NHS. You get relatively, well, I wouldn't say cheap food, but certainly the food costs are cheaper here than they are in Dubai. It's about 30% more. But when you're in Dubai, you earn 100,000. You don't pay the income tax, but you've got to pay for housing, which costs often twice as much. The rents are through the roof, £3,000 to £4,000 for an half decent place per month. You've got to pay for schooling. You've got to pay for private medical or some kind of healthcare. You've got to pay more money for food. And so it's only those that are considerably better off, those that are millionaires, that are going to be better off going to places like that. If you earn a modest income that's less than six figures, it's not going to be in your interest. Unless your
right.
employer over there provides you with free housing and free schooling, then it can be beneficial. But if you've got kids and you want to pay for medical, it's not like rosier. I mean, the weather's better over there, but
Yeah, but this time of year, definitely. But I think UK is a great country. I really do love the UK. I think it's a fantastic country. I think we've got so much going for it. Don't get me wrong, this time of the year, when I'm looking outside and it's dark and it's raining outside and it's not even late, I do have my moments. But we can just hop on a plane or a train and get into Europe, and the weather's half decent over there. So I think we're fantastically situated. It's not perfect.
yeah.
But I think it's pretty decent. But I think what we need to do is to do whatever it takes to stimulate the economy, bring confidence back into business, to encourage people to employ people, even my son, who's 20, I shouldn't say even my son, but my son says, what's the point of increasing the minimum wage? And he just didn't understand it. He said, we're young,
Yeah,
we don't have these liabilities and things that other people do. And it's got to a stage where a lot of his friends who are at uni and stuff can't get work because
yeah.
they've kind of priced themselves out of the market.
Well, a degree is no longer a sort of a guarantee of getting a half decent job, and you leave now with more student debt. Interesting, you mentioned there about minimum wage. It's I think I read recently that it's for 18 to 20-year-olds. It's gone up 26%. It's about £12.71 an hour or something now for young people. So those in the sort of hospitality trade and coffees and nightclubs and whatever else, restaurants and stuff like that, they'll employ young people, but they'll either employ less of them or give them less hours,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can't just keep increasing the minimum that's required for everybody and assume that businesses act accordingly, and it's just fine. I agree there should be a minimum wage, and that but you can't, as I say, you're not incentivizing businesses. You've got to stimulate them, show them a strategy, give them something with the other hand if you're going to want them to
So,
employ lots of the young people.
yeah, 26%, 26.2% increase from
Yeah,
£8.60 to £10.85. It just,
there you go.
begs
For young,
the
that's for 18 to 20-year-olds. Then it gets higher
yeah,
after that, I think, to
it's,
£12.71 after that.
it does,
Um,
yeah, yeah. National living
yeah.
wage, yeah.
Do you know the 10-year gilt yield in the UK? God, it used to be under 1% up until the middle of 2021, and now it's 4.46. It's through the roof. The cost of government debt, and again, it all comes down to confidence, and confidence in the UK, in the in internationals community, the Bank of England, the UK banks, and international investors. Their confidence in the UK government and in Rachel Reeves's plan. And again, it doesn't show that there is a huge amount of confidence, and the cost. I just think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I don't know what the solution is. Honestly, God, I kind of wish that somebody came on and on TV and sort of said, "This is the actual issue. This is what we need to do about it, and we all have to play our part." The last time I think that we were in the black, God, it was over 10 years ago in the UK. I'm sure it was during the coalition government, or certainly at that point, the fiscal, the headroom figures were in the 60 billion or something. Now it's like 5 or 10 billion, and it's hardly anything.
But I guess the upside is your client's going to need more advice. They're going to be, and I think call them, contact them, send information to them. Don't bombard them with documents and documents. But I think communication's key, right? It's something that I've learned massively over the years. Is call your clients and explain things before they're asking you the question,
Yeah.
so that they can feel reassured. I certainly be doing sort of checks on your clients of all those people who are doing salary sacrifice contributions, all those people maybe with ISA contributions, cash ISAs and stuff, and people who fund it. Dare I say it, people who have got businesses, and if you've got any farming clients as well,
Yeah,
to
definitely.
do that sort of stuff. So
There's a lot of work involved for advisors, I think, generally to review these things, and it's not a bad thing for us that a lot of the rules don't come in all at once. So the extra 2% tax percent on savings tax doesn't come until April 27. Same with property tax rates, that's April 27. The cash ISA cap comes in April 27. So there is a lead time, and with that being the case, people can take action over the next year and a half to max out ISAs, to max out pensions, to fill their children's junior ISAs, to pay down debt, to do these things before it becomes worse, if you like, before the tax rates go up. Interestingly, though, that 2% dividend tax comes in next year,
I
so
know.
that this is going to mean that for business owners, if they've got sufficient retained earnings, if they can pay a higher level of dividend this year than after April 26th, they're going to pay slightly less in income tax because of it by 2%.
It's but it's only up to the higher rate, isn't it? Or up to the additional rate. The additional rate doesn't
Yeah,
go.
that additional rate doesn't change, but
Yeah.
basic's up to 10.75 and higher rates up to 35.75 or 35.35. Anyway, they're both gone up, basic and higher rate up 2%. Are you looking forward to paying your mansion tax if you ever pay this place? You're from April 28, your
Can't wait.
higher council
Super.
tax.
I was so excited. I was so pleased that I could pay extra money on my new house.
Do you know what's going to happen, though? The government are going to have to ask the councils for money back because a lot of the governments fund local councils. And
Yeah.
then with this, if it's collected through council rates, instead of redoing all the bands, because they've not been done since 1991, all the council tax bands, which you'd think that'd be logical, wouldn't you? Let's reevaluate all the bands so everyone pays a bit more. Only a little bit, but everyone pays a bit more. We've got to solve this issue. And yet it's just fallen on the wealthy. 2 million. I mean, not many people feel sorry for someone with a property of 2 million or 5 million, but the reality is it's still not easily to enforce.
Sure, it's not about feeling sorry. I guess it's just being fair, isn't it? I think that's the sort of thing. And the properties are all going to be revalued. So I've looked into this because obviously it affects you. It's not basically what you bought it for. It's going to be all those properties over that band are going to be revalued. So you might be currently sat in a 1.8 million pound or something property, but for change of circumstances, might get revalued. You might have bought it for less than that. It might get valued at the 2 million, so you'll then stuck yourself with a £2,500 a year extra service charge. And I think there's going to be mechanisms in place where that can roll up. So rather than paying it
for those that don't have the income to pay it, absolutely.
Yeah. It's well, I've even sort of considered it from an estate planning perspective. Is it better to build this debt up and have it against the property as opposed to paying it? But we'll have to wait until the rules come out, I guess.
Did you hear about the two child limit, the 2-child cap on the benefit cap for change to welfare rules?
I think the thing that annoyed me the most is they're using it to say we're bringing children out of poverty. And I disagree. I disagree with that completely. All you're doing is paying more money. It's not necessarily going to save child. I'm all over child poverty and making sure that children have a good upbringing, good education. They should have breakfast. They should have clothes. They should feel loved and warm, a roof over their head, 100% all around that. And if I felt that was going to solve the problem, then you wouldn't mind it. But
on This Is Money, which I sometimes listen to with Steph McGovern and Robert Peston, although he's very, very annoying, isn't he? But they're both very, very good, to be honest. And she said, there are genuinely people on benefits that they can't work and they're disabled and they have to have it. There's other people that are on benefits that can work, but they're not incentivized to work and they want to work. And if you can incentivize them to work by saying, if you work, this is how much you learn, you'll earn more, and we can help you with anything from child benefit to child minding or whatever it is, something else. Getting them into work is definitely a good thing because it reduces the welfare spend. In the same way that I'm just amazed that they just didn't attack the triple lock on state pensions. I mean, it's great for pensioners. It's going up 4.8% next year, and bizarrely, it's going to bring some on the new state pension into paying tax on it. I don't know whether they are going to just say, well, if it's all your incomes from state pension, you don't have to pay income tax, but it's going to push people over the 12,570 limit potentially. Maybe it's not next year, but the year after. And yet, I just feel very strongly that means testing the state pension could work. There are definitely people on very, very high incomes and very wealthy people that don't need, in inverted commas, the state pension. And if they said, oh, I've paid my stamp and I deserve it and I deserve okay. But, you're just thinking, if you did change the rules of it, you could save a heck of a lot of money in welfare payments. She didn't say anything about reducing spending.
No.
Did she? It's all about raising tax. It's like you've got to do both. We talked about this pre-budget, didn't we? Reduce spending, raise tax, stimulate the economy, borrow more, which she doesn't really want to do.
Right, sir. Anything else on the budget before we?
Rachel Reeves, yeah, absolutely. I've got a good anecdote about the budget. Yeah, do you want to hear it?
I do. Go on, tell me.
So do you remember back in the day? You're old enough to remember Snickers being called marathons.
Oh, perfect.
And
yeah, definitely.
you remember when the cost of goods and chocolate was obviously a lot less then. But we remember when chocolate bars were huge. And then one day you went to the store and you picked up a Snickers and you think, hang on, this used to be bigger, but I'm now paying more money, for a smaller item. And this is shrinkflation. And the budget does exactly the same with tax allowances. It looks like you're getting the same thing, but each year there's just a little bit less in the wrapper.
I like that. That is good. That's good. And I remember Snickers as well. Marathons. Yeah, they're good.
Yes. Go on, you do one, either a quote or an anecdote, because I've got another great quote here.
Go on, you do it. I haven't got a quote. I was just going to, go on,
so
tell me.
I've got two great quotes here. One's from the inimitable Winston Churchill, right? So back in the day, and he said, "We contend that for a nation to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself by the handle."
That's very good.
Yeah. And John Baptiste Colbert, French statesman, the 1600s, said, quote, "The art of taxation consists in so plucking the goose as to obtain the largest amount of feathers with the least hissing." And that is exactly what stealth taxes and fiscal drag and frozen allowances does. They're trying to all around the edges, just get that little bit more tax on everything. It's not very inspiring.
Well, that's enough for today. I think we've definitely given our views and discussed the budget and what's gone on. So we'll call that a wrap for today. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions for us, please make sure you send them through. It enables us to answer them in future episodes. Thanks for tuning in to Finance Geeks. That's bye for me.
Okay, see you guys. Take care. And if you need any help on the budget, call Warren. He loves it. He loves the budget. In fact, we've put some links. I put 5 links in the show notes, all about the budget, with our budget guide and some other fun links, including the entire 154-page budget. So if you want to download those, click on in the show notes. Okay, bye.
That's a wrap for Season 3. Paul and I will be back in the new year with new plans and ideas starting on the 22nd of February. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know your comments.